Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So we have an example of why males should not compete in women's sports, why they have an unfair advantage, why it is simply unfair, why it is unsafe, and why there are clear differences between male and female athletes. As much as we've been gaslit over the last few years, telling us that they don't have an advantage, that trans women are women, and that they're even at a disadvantage. Remember that study commissioned by the Olympic Committee that said that they're at a disadvantage because of their hormones and the medications they take? We had a transgender basketball player over in Canada claiming to be at a disadvantage, claiming to have less testosterone than the women.
Many attribute my success not to hard work and dedication, but to the fact that I am a trans woman. These people don't know my story, and they don't care to. They don't care that I began my transition in kindergarten, never having undergone a male puberty. They don't care that my testosterone levels are 1/10 that of a cis woman due to the absence of reproductive organs, placing me at a significant competitive disadvantage.
We know that men and women are more than just hormones. We know that male bodies completely differ from that of females. So here we have a transgender, a male basketball player in California who competes for San Francisco Waldorf. So this person scored 29 points out of the 59, and the opposing team managed to score 33. So a video posted to social media shows the player, Henry Hanlon, dominating the girls on the floor and towering over opponents and teammates alike. Now this person, I remember the presence of this person on this team was the reason why a Christian school pulled out of the playoffs last year. This person is dominating volleyball as well as basketball. It was Stonebridge Christian School who had advanced to the California Intergalactic Federation State Girls Volleyball Championship. They pulled out of the playoffs when they found out that their opposing team had a male volleyball player on its roster. They gave up a shot at going forward in a championship because they were basically being forced to compete against a team with a male player. Absolutely unacceptable. But much respect to this school, to the girls of this school, for what they did last year. They released a statement saying that it was a heartbreaking decision. As many of you know, our girls won on Wednesday and advanced to the state playoffs. Unfortunately, we were just informed that our opponent, San Francisco Waldorf, has a male athlete playing for their team. This letter was sent out to parents, and the girls pulled out of the playoffs. So now here we go again in basketball. This person, being male, clearly has an advantage over the women. So Jewish Community High School played a valiant game against the team with a very evident unfair advantage of a male player. So Beth atted the school and she said, "How do you allow this? Girls deserve safety and fairness at all levels of sport. Boys deserve to be told the truth, and letting them believe they can change sex is cruel and abusive." So let's take a look at this. So Henry, as you can see there, is towering over the girls. And of course, here they come with well, we have tall girls too. Girls vary in height. Yes, we know this. We know there are tall female basketball players. But clearly, in this case, we can see that this person is towering over the girls. This person isn't female and evidently is dominating before our eyes. It's okay to believe what your eyes are telling you. And the fact is, if everybody on that team were female, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And the girls deserve better. They shouldn't have to worry about competing against male athletes in a women's competition. This isn't a co-ed competition.
Trans girls are girls. And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all, I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time.
And that's the issue. This is women's basketball. I'm sure the other girls on the team have been told to just pass the ball to Henry. Just pass the ball to Henry. It's one thing to lose or to experience a competition where your team is dominated by the other team. You put up a good fight, but the other team just seems to push further ahead no matter what you do. That's hard enough to deal with. But dealing with that, knowing that they have a boy on their team, how are the girls supposed to wrap their minds around that? And if the girls show frustration, if the girls show disappointment, they're told that that makes them bigots. To complain about having to compete against a team that has a male on their roster, to complain about that and to say that that's not fair, they're told that that's bigotry to say that. What has been done to our young girls is absolutely despicable. It really is. Not only are you telling them that they have to deal with this, you're telling them that they can't even express their normal, natural reaction to being put in this position. And don't even get me started on the locker room situation. Of course, this person is in the locker room with these girls. Why should they see this person as any different from any boy walking into their locker room? How is it any different? It isn't. And that's what we've been trying to get people to understand. Those who subscribe to this woke ideology. First of all, when you say that boys can go into the locker room, that means any boy can go into the locker room. Because all they have to do is identify as whatever, and they're allowed in. And secondly, there's no difference. Just because they are told that this boy identifies as a woman, that doesn't make it any better. You're still forcing them to be in a situation of undress in front of a boy. California, you need to do better. I can't believe this is still going on, to be honest. The numbers speak for themselves. Why is it the team that just happens to have the male player who performs this way? Funny that, but we're supposed to ignore it and act like this is perfectly fair. This is not the first game that Hanlon has completely dominated this season. In fact, Hanlon is the team's leading scorer by almost 100 points over the next closest teammate. Hanlon averages 21.4 points per game after averaging over 17 points per game last year in girls basketball, according to Max Preps. The senior, who identifies as a girl despite being male, has scored 150 of the team's 317 total points this season, and that's despite not playing in one of the team's 8 games. Coaches who recruit male players onto women's teams, how can you live with yourselves? You know this is cheating. Straight up cheating. It's as clear as day. The numbers speak for themselves. And to justify this by saying that women are tall as well, that we can have tall women who are over 6 feet, is just ultimate gaslighting and dismissive of what these female athletes are going through and what you've put them through as coaches, as administrators. So Assembly member Kate Sanchez proposed changes to California law on January 6.
When biological men are allowed to compete in women's sports, it creates an unfair playing field. Young women who have spent years training, sacrificing, and earning their place to compete at the highest level are now being forced to compete against individuals with undeniable biological advantages. It's not just unfair, it's disheartening and dangerous. For girls, this is about more than competition. It's about safety. Whether in contact sports, locker rooms, or shared spaces, these policies place our daughters at risk. We cannot ignore the physical and emotional toll this takes. I will always advocate for fairness, opportunity, and protection of women and girls in sports. It's time to restore integrity to women's athletics and ensure that every young woman has a fair and safe chance to compete.
Congressional Republicans were on the same page on Tuesday as they passed a bill to ban transgender athletes from women's sports at the elementary through to college level, which would jeopardize federal funding for schools that don't comply. So yeah, the schools are going to go ahead and insist on allowing male athletes to compete in women's competitions. They will not get federal funding. But thankfully, at least they have Kate Sanchez, who is against allowing this in the first place and was actually seeking to implement this in California anyway. And the Bay Area reacted to the news on Tuesday about the bill passing.
House will be in order. On Tuesday, the House of Representatives voting to pass a Republican-led bill that would ban transgender athletes from women's and girls' sports. If it becomes law, the bill would apply to all federally funded schools and would change Title IX to recognize only the sex an athlete was assigned at birth.
What should be an opportunity for young women to thrive and compete has been clouded by an agenda that prioritized so-called inclusion over fairness.
The topic of transgender athletes in sports has been a contentious issue in recent years. Some, like Tom Temprano of Equality California, worry the new bill could harm the health and well-being of transgender youth.
It's, disappointing continuation by these far-right extremists to continue to make political pawns out of students that just want to, try hard and play alongside their teammates.
Temprano says the number of transgender athletes competing in school sports remains extremely small. He also believes Americans are more concerned about other issues.
Voters, again, care about the economy. They care about housing. They care about health care.
While the law isn't in effect yet, we were curious to see what the reaction was here in the Bay Area. At the Bruce Mahoney basketball doubleheader at Chase Center, some parents told us they see both sides of the argument.
It's a really tough issue, and I think that there's going to be some conversations that need to be had all the way around.
Others, though, were decided in their opinions.
Obviously, the males have a big advantage for females over females, and I think just to keep it separate.
For every sport.
Yeah, for every sport. No matter the sport.
For Colleen Crespo, she says she tries to remain open-minded on issues such as these. But when it comes to this bill, she believes the House made the right decision.
It doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem fair when men are playing with women and then they're winning, and then it's like the women then don't even have a chance anymore.
The bill will next have to pass the Senate, where its future remains more uncertain.
Interesting. Notice that they didn't have anybody on camera saying that they're totally against banning transgender athletes in women's sports. They could only find the people with common sense. They know this is wrong. Their eyes are telling them that this is wrong. You only have to look and see examples like this. And it's not only about advantages, because we could have somebody that's just terrible at sports, even if they're male and they're competing in a women's competition. Just the fact that the person is male means that they do not belong in any women's competition. It's absolutely unacceptable to allow somebody who's male to compete in a women's competition, to compete on a women's team, to compete against girls. It's unacceptable regardless of whether the person has an advantage or not. I just want to make that clear, because we do talk about advantages because it's as clear as day that this is wrong, because the advantages are staring us in the face. But even without advantages, we need to understand that it should not be allowed. And it's interesting how, again, they always resort to, it's only a few. But this one individual is impacting these female athletes. A lot of these transgender players don't just stick to one sport, they play in multiple sports. So this has affected multiple female athletes in different schools and in different sports. It's important to note that in California, schools are required to allow the participation of athletes in sports that correspond with their gender identity. Unlike in the case of transgender volleyball player Blair Fleming at San Jose State, for example, there is no hormone testing or any oversight towards athletes who choose to identify outside of their biological sex. Yeah, when it comes to high school level, they can make up their own rules. They decide how to implement it. And a lot of the time there's no hormone testing. We've seen cases where the boys aren't on any medication whatsoever. So thus, any boy can declare that he is a girl and compete in girl sports and use girls' bathrooms and locker rooms. It's unclear if Henry Hanlon has undergone any hormone treatment or taken any measures as part of a gender transition. But what we do know, what we can be 100% sure of, is that this person is male. And that is more than enough to disqualify this person from competing in a women's competition, from being on a women's team. And what we just saw in terms of this person's performance compared to the female athletes speaks volumes. The numbers speak for themselves. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.